Collins, the research process, the research memo. We have covered the Collins accounting research process, but let's review it quickly. Understand the facts, background of the transaction. Define the problem. Identify the researchable question. Stop and think, what accounting treatment will likely be most appropriate? Search potentially relevant sources of guidance, copying any relevant guidance into a Word document. Analyze alternatives. Document your consideration of each. Justify and document your conclusion. Now let's turn to the Accounting Issues Memo. An example of what we'll call the standard Accounting Issues Memo format appears on the next slide. Different entities may use variations of this memo format. Some companies prefer the conclusion section to be located earlier in the memo. Be prepared to adapt this memo format as necessary. Notice the headers in the following slide: background, issues, analysis, etc. Each header should be presented in bold in your memos. So here are the sections. Background. State the relevant facts surrounding the issue. Question, issues. List the researchable questions you're trying to answer. Analysis. Include all relevant authoritative guidance along with analysis in your own words of how the guidance applies to your fact pattern. Conclusion. State your conclusion based on your research, highlighting key factors considered. Provide more detail for highly judgmental issues. Financial statement and disclosure impacts. Summarize financial statement accounts affected and any disclosures required. Include journal entries when possible. So let's take a closer look at the background area. The background section of an issues memo should include all relevant information necessary for understanding the transaction and its accounting. This section should be concise but not too sparse. Aim to provide enough detail about the issue that a party uninvolved with the matter could pick up the memo, even years later, and understand the issue. Always remember that the research question is not part of the background or relevant facts. Move to the analysis. The analysis section of the memo addresses each issue identified one at a time. It's a good reason for not having too many issues. Never confuse questions that you need to consider with the research issues. Many of these questions can be grouped together into one issue. This section should include, the analysis section should include guidance excerpts, plus the researcher's own commentary about how the guidance relates to this particular issue. Discuss all potential alternatives, weighing their relative merits. And as you work with the analysis, cut and paste the words of the codification. Provide the user with the entire citation so the reader can see, and then use your words to comment on how the guidance relates to the facts. In this analysis section, you can use guidance sandwiches. These are covered in the Collins text. Commentary in your own words should generally precede and follow all guidance excerpts. There are three parts. Your words. Introduce the quote. What's the objective of using this guidance? Provide the quote from the citation, from the codification, and then relate the guidance to your situation. So the reader sees your introduction, your conclusion, but sandwiched in the middle are the words of the codification. And always avoid providing too much of the codification. You may have a section and a paragraph and there are items A, B, and C. Only C applies. It's okay not to show A and B. The reader can see the format and see that you're focusing on paragraph 1C. The conclusion part. The analysis of each issue should be followed by a conclusion in the researcher's own words. The conclusion should emphasize points from the analysis that support the conclusion. Refer to the earlier discussion of documenting conclusions in the research process. If the company consulted subject matter experts related to an issue, That consultation should be documented in the memo. Document this just before or immediately following the conclusion section of the issues memo. Step back and determine, was my search effort exhaustive? How do you know whether your search effort was exhaustive? Consider, I conducted a browse search and reviewed all potentially relevant subtopics. I conducted multiple keyword searches, including searches using synonyms. I reviewed all search results and pursued all potentially relevant leads. I reviewed the master glossary. I considered guidance available for similar transactions or events. After taking these steps, it's okay to turn to non-authoritative sources. Even then, however, the non-authoritative source might point you back to the right place in the codification.